Cry Macho is the latest neo-western drama film from Hall of Film fame director Clint Eastwood, and it's out now on HBO Max as well as in theaters. The screenplay is based off the same 1975 novel by Richard Nash, and here we have Eastwood starring the lead role, as well as Dwight Yoakam, Eduardo Minnet, Natalia Traven, Fernando Rolla, Horacio Garcia Rojas in supporting roles for the film. Cry Macho introduces us to Mike Milo, a struggling, divorced, and retired Texas rodeo star who had his career abruptly end after suffering from a severe back injury in a performance. When he loses his job, he gets hired by a former boss and friend, Howard Polk, to travel to Mexico and retrieve, or really kidnap, his son Rafo, who's currently living with his abusive mother Letta. The story narrowly focuses on Mike and Rafo's traverse through the country as they discover companionship and camaraderie wisdoms along their way. This is a horrible way to leave and end a legacy. I love me some classic Clint Eastwood flicks like the Dirty Harry franchise or The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. It's well renowned how much of an influence the man has had on Western film genre, as well as attributing to masculinity qualities in American culture. So don't think I'm not well versed with Eastwood and his contributions. I respect the hard work this one man has achieved in his lifetime. With that said, there was little to no beneficial reason for him to star as the lead protagonist in Cry Macho, and should have remained seated at the director's high chair where he fittingly belonged. But instead, him tackling on directing, producing, and acting positions is this film's ultimate downfall. Why? Because he's still attempting to portray this machismo, self-reserved, lion-hearted cowboy who's also quite literally on the verge of death. Please do not mistake what I'm about to say as ageism. It's not an ageist issue as much as it's a miscasting dilemma. Cry Macho follows Eastwood nearly every minute in his travels throughout Mexico, and everywhere he goes, he's speaking very little, staring with his mouth wide open, moving slower than a sloth, and nothing is happening. I promise you, there is no substance in this simplistic story. The best action shot here is an obvious rough cut of Clint Eastwood one-punching a kid, and the worst is the camera 1 foot off the ground following Eastwood catching a chicken. I honestly felt more emotion in that 10-second chase more than the entire runtime because I thought his knees and legs were just gonna collapse at any given moment. And it only gets worse. Eastwood, again, at 91 years old, with a face full of makeup and his neck veins straining, still has one, well really two, voluptuous and beautiful Mexican women get intimate with him. One wants to outright have sex with him, and the other falls in love with him. There's no way. I will believe in Bella falling in love before I believe that either of these two women looked at a 9 times decade old man and said, yes, I want to kiss him. It's preposterous, it's ridiculous, it's flabbergasting. There's so many words to describe the off-putting romance in this thing. Eastwood was a bold and daring man for still making women fall head over heels for a bag of bones. Okay, moving on. I still love Eastwood, but enough of the tirade. There's other shit to get through. This movie has nothing going on. I understand the story is simplistic in its framework, but it's so utterly boring. Thank God I watched this at home because I had to pause it 3 times to just get up, move around, get some sort of stimulation because this movie was extracting all signs of life from me. The execution of how this story probably relays in the novel is just not there. There's frequently awkward back and forth dialogue exchanges. There's no bigger message this movie's trying to say. There's nothing funny. I don't understand Mike's motivations and his character because 1, he doesn't express emotion, 2, he doesn't say much, and 3, he doesn't do much, so how can I even come to acknowledge his otherwise very horrible decisions with the kid he's trying to rescue? Look, don't get me wrong, there's a few positive notes to highlight. I love the scenery and set choices. Eastwood and his team do manage to capture the sereneness of Mexico's desert landscape. It's visually relaxing and brings a certain je ne sais quoi portrayal of the 80s gunslinging time period. Some of the cozier conversations are absorbing and feel genuine, in part due to the innocence of the children actors here. But again, Eastwood is just so jarring and wrong for this role that he manages to steal some good scenes worth with a blank expression or genuine confusion or just trying to find the strength to get up. It's so noticeable that I can't reiterate this mismatch. It said online that the book was in talks of becoming adapted into a feature film since 2010, and Arnold Schwarzenegger was supposed to be the lead. He pulled out after a scandal went up, and nothing materialized until Eastwood took interest in it 10 years later in 2020. But man, what could have been, because Schwarzenegger would have been such a better casting choice here. The man's only 74 right now, and he's leaps more physically enduring than Eastwood in his current state. He's much more appealing and incongruent with the other actors here, and probably just shows more signs of life than Eastwood could muster in this entire runtime. Boy, look, I'm gonna go ahead and give Cry Macho a 3 at best. There's a few things to sprinkle compliments here and there, but all in all, this is a painfully laborious and cringy experience to go through. It's an hour and 40 minutes, yet it felt like I just got 4 hours of my life just stripped away. Until next time, guys,